City. It is a great pleasure for me to welcome the distinguished guests, paper presenters, and participants who are here to share knowledge and work together on the exciting field of sustainable energy and climate change. On behalf of organizing committee, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you in the International Conference on Sustainable Energy for Mitigation and Adaptation of Climate Change and Global Warming. The conference encompasses a broad spectrum of sustainable energy and global related subjects. It is devoted to research and applications regarding mitigation and adaptation of climate change. We appreciate and thank you for taking time from your busy schedule to join us today. Before we begin this conference, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to all of you who sincerely committed to this event to make it a success. Moving forward to plenary session, it is a great honor for me to introduce and welcome the conference chair of this startlingly beautiful morning. She is the founder president of Operational Resource Society of Nepal. She is vice president of International Federation of Operational Resource Society representing Asia Pacific OR Society. She is the member of Technical Committee in Quality Assurance and Accreditation Board and member in Management Cluster Research Division of University Grant Commission of Nepal. She is the Senate member in the Nepal Open University. She is also the founder chairperson of Tribhuvan University Alumni Association of Nepal. Ladies and gentlemen, I request you to join me in thanking and welcoming conference chair, Professor Dr. Suniti Shrestha Hada. Welcome, madam.
Thank you.
May I take the pleasure of requesting the conference chair, Professor Dr. Suniti Shrestha Hada, for a welcome speech.
Thank you, Nura madam. Good morning to everybody. Respectable Dean Dr. Kwanan Tekato, Faculty of Environmental Management, Prince of Sankala University, Dr. Montri, Keynote Speaker, Dr. Kwok Feng Chong, I hope he's already here, and Dr. Saroj Gewali sir, the co-chair of this conference, and actually the person who bridges this conference with ORAtion, the president of ORAtion, Dr. Govinda Tamang, all officials and members of the organizing committee, and all the paper presenters and the participants. Good morning and most welcome to you in this opening of this conference, international conference. It is really immense pleasure and honor to welcome you all in this online international conference on sustainable energy for mitigation and adaptation of climate change and global warming. And on behalf of ORSN family, want to thank Suraj Gewali sir and the Dean of Prince Shankara University for this event to happen, and that will be beneficial to whole research community. This COVID-19 has actually, we are talking about the environment, then this COVID-19 we have seen the adverse impact, but it has some positive impact also that actually gave opportunity to all the scientists and activists to work at home. And the whole world is actually going towards the paperless activities, which I think is a positive impact of COVID-19. Now talking about ORAtion, this is a non-profit organization established in 2007, and it has the main aim of promoting and advocating the theoretical part of the OR area and its appropriate application in different issues of the world. And we have been, ORAtion is a member of Asia Pacific OR Society and International Federation of OR Societies from 2011, and since then we are working for this networking and internet conferences, workshops, so that we can work on OR and all related areas in the different issues. And so in that respect, we have been working on networking with different parts of the world, and this is another milestone for ORAtion, that we are now doing this international conference with the Prince of Sankala University of Thailand with such an topic, the sustainable energy for mitigation and adaptation of climate change and global warming, which is actually very important issue of the whole world at this stage. So I think it is very honor, and I want to welcome you all in this conference in online mode. This is because of COVID-19, and again second wave, and the scientists are saying that we have to be get ready for the third wave also. So let's take care and be safe. And in this conference, I hope it will bring all of us an opportunity to interact with the guest speakers, paper presenters, participants, and the member of the organizing committees. I think, and I'm very hopeful that this will again lead us to for more future endeavors. And we hope to meet you again, and then working again with other organizations in another part of the world. And ORSN is continuously doing this effort for the development of the OR and the related areas for research and publications. Even in ORSN, we are having very good publication of International Journal of Operation Research Society, and we have proceeding books and abstract books. And I think we are going to add one more journal for this. And all these papers that we are having here, that will be presented here, we hope that all of these papers will be able to be published with its quality, maintaining the quality standards of OISN. And I hope for this, all the participants and the paper presenters will be benefited with this. So with this, I want to welcome all of you again, and hope that in these 4 days, I think it's about 16 hours, our takeaway home will be a very, very good knowledge and information about this sustainable energy. And I hope for the best. Again, take care and be safe. Thank you very much, and welcome again. And please try to get more from this conference. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I am profusely overjoyed to take the opportunity to use as he has come environment from Chulalongkorn University, has many of interest focusing science and environmental management. His area of expertise includes energy and environment policy and green roof and wall. He has published many research articles in national and international journals, as well as several articles in the conferences. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking and welcoming Dr. Quyen Teketo. Welcome, sir. Now I'd like to request Dr. Quenan for welcome speech.
So it is my honor to welcome you all to the virtual international conference on sustainable energy management, May 28 to 31st, 2021 in Nepal. This year we derived with the theme Sustainable Energy for Mitigation and Adaptation of Climate Change and Global Warming. Pursuing its traditional, this year the conference again extends a wide range of highly interactive sessions with the experts of sustainable energy management and to review the associated issues on conference theme. This conference is a great prospect to not only explore knowledge of participants and researchers, but deepen understanding of changing ideas and innovative models of sustainable energy management. I am convinced that the professionals this an exceptional event that will admit you to learn many new findings and discussions as well as share your experience. I hope that you will have an energetic and exciting time at this virtual conference. In advance to the closing remarks, I would like to remind you, and especially our moderators, to rigorous emphasis to our time schedule. I sincerely hope you will enjoy today and next 3 days of international conference paper presentations. As a Dean of Faculty of Environmental Management, Prince of Songkla University, Hat Yai, Thailand, I know that the success of the conference depends ultimately on many people who work with us in planning and organizing both technical program and supporting social arrangements. In particular, I thank the conference chair, Professor Dr. Suniti Seta Hada, co-chair Dr. Salot Kayawali, and entire team of co-organizer, Operational Research Society of Nepal, ORSN, for their guidance and excellent recommendations on organizing and technical program. The program committee for their comprehensive and timely reviewing of the papers, and organizing partners, Sustainable Study and Research Institute, SSRI, and GHM International Education Consultants, supporting organization EATHRC Research Center from Prince of Songkla University, Thailand, Research and Development Organization, Prince of Songkla University, Thailand, and technical support, Nepal Research and Education Network, NREN, for their worthwhile collaboration to realize the conference success during this global pandemic of COVID-19. Actually, there are many names that I did not mention, like Associate Professor Dr. Sushada or Assistant Professor Dr. Sopin help also for this conference. Recognition should go to entire committee members of Alliance institutions named above, who have all worked extremely hard for the details of important aspects of conference programs and social activities. With that, I hope you enjoy the conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. Now, moving forward, it's my pleasure to introduce our guest, who is an assistant in environmental management of Prince of Songkla University, Thailand. He has completed his PhD in energy studies from University of Brunei. He has also published many research articles in national and international journals. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking and welcoming Assistant Professor Dr. Monty Luchovenan. Welcome, sir. May I request Professor Montri for a brief introduction of the Faculty of Management of Prince Songkla University. Sir, please. May I request Professor Dr. Montri to say a few words? I think Dr. not connected. Shall we move forward and later on, whenever he joins, we are going to introduce him again. With the permission of chairperson, can we move into the next segment? Okay, thank you, madam. Because of the technical issue, we are going to have Dr. Mantri again in the next segment. Now I would like to introduce our keynote speaker. It's our honor to have our keynote speaker in this plenary session. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking and welcoming Associate Professor Kwok Feng. Welcome, sir. Moving forward, I would like to hand over the keynote speech session to the conference chair, Professor Dr. Suniti Srestahada.
Nura ma'am, photo please.
Sure, ma'am. I'm sharing, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Professor Kwok Feng, it is my honor to introduce you to this conference. Dr. Kwok Feng Chong is an associate professor and head of industrial chemistry program at University of Malaysia, Pahang. Dr. Chong completed his PhD in the Department of Chemistry at National University of Singapore in 2010. And he has been honored with Obelisk World Invention Award, Platinum Award, Diamond Award, and Gold Award in bio-waste as energy storage supercapacitor, British Invention Show, United Kingdom in 2015, and gold medal bio-waste as energy storage superconductor, 26th International Invention and Innovation Exhibition, Malaysia at 2015. Dr. Kwok Feng Chong's research interest includes advanced material, renewable energy, electrochemistry, supercapacitors, biosensors, corrosion study, and many more. So I want to welcome Dr. Kwok Feng Chong in this conference as a keynote speaker. And sir, you have 45 minutes. So I request you to complete your presentation within 35 to 40 minutes so that we will get some time for the floor discussion. So thank you, Professor Chong, welcome. And now please, your time is started. Thank you, Mr. Chong.
Thank you, Professor Suniti. You all can hear me?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, first of all, yeah, good morning, everyone. Yeah, my name is Chong. Thank you for the invitation from the committee for this International Conference on Sustainable Energy for Mitigation and Adaptation of Climate Change and Global Warming. And thank you, Professor Suniti, for the kind introduction of my profile. And thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Konan as well, as a co-chair for this conference. He's my friend as well. I call him Kwa because it's quite kind of difficult to pronounce his name, so that's why Kwa. And thank you for my friend, one of the committee, Associate Professor Dr. Shushada from Prince of Songkla University, for inviting me to share some of my research in this prestigious international conference. So I think without further ado, let us start looking at my slide. Can I share my screen? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Once again, thank you for the committee. And today I would like to share some of my research. It's one of my research interest, which is energy storage, which I deem that is very suitable for the theme of this conference. We talk about the energy management and the climate change. So as we know that, so energy nowadays has been considered as one of the important criteria in the world development, because in every aspect we require the energy. So for my research, actually, I do not focus much on the energy aspect. Research can be divided into several groups, which is like the energy harvesting, and the energy storage, and the third one will be how to manage it, which is the energy management. So for my research interest, I will focus more on how does the energy can be stored by using a sustainable way of generating the energy, such as a solar cell or the wind energy. How can we store it to store the energy so that when we require it, we can use it without any interruption. So the topic of my talk today will be the metal oxide-based supercapacitor. Supercapacitor is considered as one of the energy storage device. So my name is Chong. So I'm coming from University Malaysia Pahang. So that is give you some overview of where is Malaysia. So if you look at the Nepal, that is I searched from the internet last night. So this is where Nepal located, and this is where Malaysia. I think there's no foreign to Thailand, because we are very near to each other in terms of geographically, and I think in terms of Nepal, it's not very far. I would guess that it's roughly about 6 hours flight from Malaysia to Nepal. So I've never visited Nepal before. So hopefully one day, when the pandemic finished, so I'm able to travel to Nepal and look at Nepal, how beautiful Nepal is. Because I look at all these pictures, I know that Nepal is a very beautiful country. And this okay. So this is the UC Malaysia Pahang. I will give one slide only to introduce about my university. UC Malaysia Pahang is considered as a relatively new university because we only has been established in the year of 2002, February. So right now we are roughly about 18 or 17 years old. So we are the technical university specializes in the engineering and technology. So that's why we do not have the medical science. We are considered as a technical university, which will give the education and the research in the engineering and technology. The total students right now, including the undergraduate and postgraduate, we have roughly about 12,000. And what we are very proud of is our graduate employability. According to the latest graduate employability in 2019, so we achieved 96% of our GE. We call it GE, graduate employability. So after the student finish their study from our university, UMP, so out of 100 students, 96 of them, they are able to secure a job right after they graduate. I think this is considered we are very proud of this figure, because once they graduate, we want them, we want the student able to get themselves a job, and then they quickly can apply what they have learned in university and then can put into the workplace and for the development or either for the industrial benefit. And we also very active engaged in the research, whereby we have 7 centers of excellence to handle for all those research activities in UMP. Okay, so the latest news on the UMP is we are very proud to announce that the UMP is ranked number 133 in QS Asia. That is according to the latest result released by QS. So this is once again is part of the recognition. It's part of recognition to recognize the achievement of UMP in terms of the research and in terms of the human and the technology development. Okay, so this finish about the brief introduction about my university, and here go to the technical part of my research. So as you look at the title, so we consider about the metal oxide-based supercapacitor. So some of the people might question, so what is a supercapacitor? So if you look at the diagram over here, it gives you a very clear picture of what is one kind of the energy storage device, whereby you can charge it by using the energy supply. You can charge this gray color part, actually is the material that we use, the supercapacitor. So the energy storage part is done based on the ion absorption. Ion absorption, when we supply the electron onto this material, a lot of ions or the electron can be captured by this material. So the benefit of this supercapacitor is you only need to charge it about a very short period of time, like 5 to 10 seconds. Then when you need to use it, you can connect it to the current load, and these ions or the electron can be delivered out from your supercapacitor. Again, can power up your device. So this is a basic of the supercapacitor. It's considered as one of the alternative energy storage device, and the power density is higher than the battery for the supercapacitor. Because right now we talk about energy storage, what people familiar with is only the battery, because that is very commonly that being used by us nowadays. So I'll go into more details on the power density comparison between power density. So it has a very fast discharge and fast charging, and the discharge time means that you only can charge a very short period of time, and then you can use it for a very long period of time. So you look at the diagram over here, that has been applied in China during the Olympic, if I'm not wrong, is the 2008 Olympics. So their bus actually is powered up by the supercapacitor, whereby they only need to charge 30 seconds for the bus. That is the shuttle bus within the village of all those Olympic athletes, because they need to transport and shuttle those Olympic athletes to their destination. So they only need to charge for 30 seconds for the bus, whereby the bus will stop at the station to pick up those passengers. And then for this bus, actually, once they charge for 30 seconds to pick up the passenger, they can run for 5 minutes. So when they stop at the next station, when they need to pick up the passenger again, so they can charge it again. So 30 seconds is a sufficient time in order to get the passenger go up or to go down from the bus, and at the same time, they can fully charge their supercapacitor. If you look at the global market for supercapacitor, initially it has been very, very low. Over the years, people realizing, the industry start to realize that that's the importance of supercapacitor. Actually, we can try to hybrid it to the use of the industry, whereby they predict according to the market survey, they predict in 2027. So the market share for the supercapacitor will be up to about $16 billion for the supercapacitor market. So the next diagram over here show you we call it a Ragan plot. You can compare between the energy density and the power density. Of course, you look at on the left-hand side, whereby I highlight over here the fuel cell and the conventional battery, whereby they have the very high energy density. That's the reason why right now battery has been very commonly or popularly being used in the market, because they can store a lot of energy. If you look at the diagram over here, they have a very low power density. It means that when you need the energy in a very fast rate, you need a lot of energy. The battery is not sufficient for you to supply a lot of energy at very short time. They will deliver out the energy, but at a very slow rate. That's the battery. So for the supercapacitor, if you look at on the other hand, which is on the right-hand side, it has a very low energy density. It means that it cannot store a lot of energy. But at the same time, it can have a very high power density, roughly about 10,000 watts per kg. It means that it stores a very few amount of energy, but when you need the energy, supercapacitor can push out all those energy out at a very fast rate. You can see that by comparing the polarized side of this Ragan plot. So there's a gap over here in the middle or on the top over here, whereby we wish to then develop a device whereby it has a very high energy density, whereby it can store a lot of energy. And if we need it, we can use it at a very fast rate. We can use it immediately. So that's the purpose of the energy storage community. We try to modify the materials so we can achieve this goal. The material can store a lot of charges or the electrons or the energy, but at the same time, when you need it, it can quickly deliver out all the energies. I use a very simple analogy to compare about this. Let's say compare with a capacitor. That's not what I mentioned. Capacitor is something that is an energy storage device whereby it can store very small amount of energy. So right now we try to simulate it. You consider the water. The water is an energy. The amount of energy can be stored. Right now, the capacitor is something like the small glass of water. Small glass of water, it can store a very small amount of water, which it can store a small amount of energy. But when you need it, when you need to drink the water, so how? You can just pour it out. You can just drink it. So it means that you are not confined by anything. You can very quickly pour all the water. That's a capacitor. For the battery can be simulated as we can use example like the big pail of the water that the water container that we use for the water dispenser. It can store a very large amount of water. So in this case, it can store a lot of energy. But if you look at the opening for this water dispenser bottle, it's very small. It's very small. When you need the water, what you need to do, you pour it up, the water will come out at a very, very slow rate. Even though it can store a lot of energy, a lot of water, but you need it, it can only flow at a slow rate. You cannot instantaneously pour out all the water. That's a disadvantage for the battery. So for the supercapacitor, what we need to do, we need to make our cup. Just now I look at, if you look at the diagram before this, is a small cup of water. So in the energy storage community, we try to make this glass of water as big as possible. So when you need it, you can just pour it out at a very fast rate. Okay, so that's the basic principle of the supercapacitor. So right now, what we are doing for the energy community is actually we research in terms of the material, so that we can find the material whereby it can store a lot of charges or the energy, and we need it, we can discharge it at a very fast rate. So this is the three very common material that being used in the supercapacitor. If you look at the diagram here, actually it shows you the setup for the supercapacitor. So you have the current collector, and you have the electrode material which is attached to a current collector, and then you have the separator to separate between both anode and cathode. And the material that being commonly used in the supercapacitor, the first one I will categorize them as a carbon-based material, such as the nanographene, carbon nanotube, fullerene, the carbon black, activated carbon, the multi-wall carbon nanotube has been very popular, being used as a carbon-based supercapacitor material. The second class will be the metal oxide. Metal oxide, we use the ruthenium oxide, we use the manganese oxide, and we use the copper oxide, iron oxide. This has been very commonly being used as a metal oxide for supercapacitor. And the last one is a conducting polymer. Conducting polymers such as polyaniline, the polypyro has been very popularly being used as an electrode material for supercapacitor. And the comparison between both, now we look at that, we have the current collector, and then we have the electrode material, and then we have the separator. So if we look at the carbon-based material, if we use a carbon material such as the graphene, the carbon nanotube, or the fullerene, so the energy storage principle in this supercapacitor is based on the ion absorption. So it depends on how does the ion can absorb onto this carbon material. The advantage of this is it has a very high stability. It has a very high stability for this supercapacitor, because you are not going to change the oxidation state for the material. So that's why you can keep on using it for the very long cycle. But the drawback for this is there is a limitation for the energy density. If you look at the other part on the right hand side, we have the pseudo capacitor. The pseudo capacitor, whereby the material that we use is a metal oxide or the conducting polymer. And the principle for this energy storage is based on the redox reaction. It's based on the changing of the oxidation state for your metal oxide or your conducting polymer. So that's why it will generate the changes in the charges. So that's why you can store the charge in the material. Because it involves the redox reaction and involve the changing of this oxidation and oxidation state. So in the end, it has a very low stability, but the benefit of this, it has a very high energy density. So that's the topic that the material that I'm going to talk about in today's topic. So for my group, actually, we are doing the quest. So I told my research group, actually, we are doing the quest for the high energy supercapacitor. I give them a challenge for the group. So right now, if you look at this is a common setup for the supercapacitor. Normally, the normal electrolyte that we use will be the potassium hydroxide. Why we use the potassium hydroxide? Because it has a very high ionic mobility. And the other common electrolyte will be the sodium sulfate. Sodium sulfate has been popularly being used because potassium hydroxide is highly corrosive. If you want to apply it to the industry, there's a lot of safety concerns to consider. So it has been replaced by the sodium sulfate. Sodium sulfate is neutral. That is a very common electrolyte being used nowadays. So I throw them a challenge for my group members. So we know that the aluminum ions, so aluminum 3+, it has a very high charge capacity because each of the hydrated aluminum is considered for one one atom of this aluminum ion. Actually, it has 3 charges. It has a very high the charge capacity +3 as compared to the rest, which is potassium +1 and sodium also +1. And at the same time, it has a very small radius. So we can benefit this. So imagine that you have a piece of paper. Right now, you want to absorb this aluminum ion onto your piece of paper. As compared to the rest, you can absorb a lot because it has a very small radius. And at the same time, actually, it has a very high capacity because the one ion that you absorb actually is equivalent to 3 ions that other electrolyte that being absorbed. So I throw them a challenge to see whether are we able to develop a material. So that's why I call it a quest. To develop a material whereby we can accommodate this ion, and then we want to see, is it really theoretically can be proven? Theoretically, it's proven that it's very high charge capacity, but can we prove it experimentally? We find a material we can accommodate this aluminum ion. So we start out with the manganese oxide nanostructure. So as you know that manganese oxide can be found abundantly from nature, whereby it can exist at different phases, the pyrolusite, the ramsellite, the manganate on the left-hand side. And at the same time, for me, I'm a material chemist, we can synthesize the manganese oxide from the lab. So we can synthesize the manganese oxide in terms of different dimensionality. We can synthesize in terms of the sheet, in terms of the 2D, manganese oxide in the nanoparticles, the 2D which is in the sheet, and we can synthesize the manganese oxide in the 3D, which is in the bulk material. We can dope it, and we can do the hybrid as well. Do it so that we can increase the defect or the oxygen vacancy, and can cause a distortion of this structure. And the crystallography for this manganese oxide also can be divided into several types. So this is our main focus for this. We want to see whether manganese oxide can be used to accommodate this aluminum ion. So where do we get the manganese oxide? Because we want to find it in a sustainable way as well. So that's why we extract it for the alkaline battery. As we know that the battery that we use consists a very abundant amount of the manganese oxide. So we extract it. We extract this. We use the electrochemical approach to extract the manganese oxide to regenerate it. You can see in terms of morphology, is the span battery. The morphology for the manganese oxide seems like they come together. But after we do the electrochemical and the chemical treatment, we can increase or reactivate the manganese oxide into the very nice nano flower, nano petal shape. So for this, we check the oxidation state for this manganese oxide. It revert back to the manganese 4+. So means that we remain active back electrochemically. And then the surface is also increased because right now it exists as a flower shape. We compare in terms of the charge storage. If you look at this cyclic water very brief, the explanation for this cyclic water is the larger the area under the curve, the higher the charge that it can store. So for cathode material, actually it cannot store a lot of charge anymore. For the manganese oxide, after we reactivate it, you can see that it can increase substantially, roughly about 5-fold increment after we do the activation. But all this has been done in the sodium sulfate electrolyte. It's a very common electrolyte, and we can derive the equation for this the charge storage, the sodium ion being absorbed on this manganese oxide surface. It doesn't fulfill the objective of our initial test, whereby we want to see whether aluminum ion can be inserted into the manganese oxide. Then we do the study. The aluminum hydrated ion is a 3.75 angstrom, the ionic radius. But if you look at those different morphology, the crystal phase of this manganese oxide, actually practically it should be able to accommodate. It should be able to accommodate this small radius of aluminum 3+. Experimentally, we couldn't see any aluminum 3+ can be inserted into this the void between this manganese oxide. So means that we fail in terms of we want to put in the aluminum ion in. So that's why we are not considered on this manganese ion anymore, because we cannot insert our, our aluminum ion inside. So instead, we try to find a different way. And then my group, they proposed, so why don't we try other things, like we study in terms of electronegativity. So the cobalt possess higher electronegativity as compared to manganese. We hope that by increasing the negativity, electronegativity, we can try to pull this aluminum ion so that it can stay longer, it can go into the void of this crystal structure. So that's why the second material that we propose is the cobalt oxide nanostructure. So that's the structure for the cobalt oxide. Cobalt oxide actually consists of this cobalt 2 and cobalt 3 and the oxygen atom. Has been popularly being studied as a supercapacitor material as well. But as we mentioned, so potassium hydroxide is a very common electrolyte, which does not fit our objective of the quest. So this has been very popular, that has been reported by other groups. So where do we get the cobalt content? So then we look around and then we found our cell phone, our handphone, whereby if you look at your handphone, right now we are using a lot of lithium ion battery. The lithium ion battery, for your information, inside there's a lithium cobalt oxide. There's a huge amount of cobalt content in your lithium ion battery. So we get the spent lithium ion battery whereby people discard it and then we recycle it. So we use a novel method whereby we use under the magnetic force, because cobalt is a ferromagnetic. It's a ferromagnetic. We extract the cobalt oxide under the magnetic field because we want this cobalt oxide you have the high surface area. So we are able to use an electrochemical method together with the magnetic field. So we are able to extract the cobalt oxide in the hierarchical nanostructure. So if you look at this structure, is all consists of all these nano paddle as compared to the before the treatment will be in the clump shape. You can compare it. If we do not use a magnetic field, all of them, even though they exist as the paddle, but they tend to clump together in one big nano flower. But under the magnetic field, we found that actually it can try to align because cobalt is a ferromagnetic material. So each of these nano paddle, actually the thickness is in the 25 or 26 nanometer. So we can visualize that it's a very high surface area material, and then we go and run the task storage. We can see that with the magnetic field and without the magnetic field, we can compare in terms of this graph, or maybe look at the result from this graph. Specific capacitance means the higher charge we can store. The blue color is the one, the cobalt oxide under the MF means the magnetic field. Under the influence of magnetic field, we are able to see that the increment is up to about 6 or 7 times higher as compared to the cobalt oxide extraction without the magnetic field. Means that right now we can align this cobalt oxide to arrange in the very nice in the aligned order. So we can increase the surface area in this, and this is the equation for the oxidation, for the reduction for this cobalt oxide during our charge storage process. And then we go and study the aluminum. We go and study, is the aluminum able to go into the crystal structure of this cobalt oxide? And then we tried experimentally, it couldn't. And then we run the crystallography study and look at it. So the crystal spacing for this cobalt oxide actually is in the range of 2.4 angstrom, whereby it's smaller than the 3.75 angstrom that is possessed by the aluminum ion. So once again, we failed. So we couldn't able to put in our aluminum ion into this cobalt oxide. But nevertheless, we are able to find out a method whereby we can extract the the cobalt oxide. So once again, our group tried to propose another material, which is in this round we propose a tungsten. So tungsten, we have the higher electronegativity. So the electronegativity for tungsten, which is in the 2.36. So my student told me, why don't we try this? So that we increase electronegativity. Okay, so we try to go into the material of tungsten oxide. So for your information, tungsten oxide, we can extract, we can find it in the, we couldn't find any source for the tungsten in our battery. So we have no choice, whereby we need to synthesize the tungsten. The tungsten has been popular in two phases, which is the tungsten trioxide, or the second one, whereby we can synthesize it in different morphology. We can synthesize in terms of microsphere, the nano rod, nano wire, so, or the nano bundles. So these are the morphology for the tungsten oxide. So in my group, we use a precursor for tungsten, and then we use a simple method, the hydrothermal method, and then we synthesize the tungsten 18 oxide 49 nanostructure. That is the monoclinic phase for the tungsten oxide. And then that is the morphology for the, we call it a nano engine, something like the enching that we can find in the sea. So this, we can envisage that it consists of high surface area. And then we go and run the charge storage study. Then we find a very interesting behavior. We compare between the electrolyte. We try to put in the lithium, the sodium, the manganese, and then we'll try to put in the aluminum. So in this case, the black color is the one that we see. So how much percentage of your charge storage actually is caused by this capacitive or the diffusive? Diffusive means that right now your ion actually can penetrate and diffuse in your crystal structure. We can see that there is a very high percentage of this aluminum chloride diffusive in the tungsten chloride. So we find something that is very interesting. So it means that right now we've proven that our material, the aluminum ion can go in and then they can diffuse very freely in the crystal structure for this tungsten, tungsten oxide. Sorry. Okay. Then we try to explain it theoretically. We look at the hydrated cation size, the lithium, sodium, manganese, and then look at the crystal lattice spacing for the tungsten oxide. So we found that it's in the range of 3.8 angstrom. For the aluminum ion, it's just nice, which can fit in. So in this case, means that for every volt of this tungsten oxide, the aluminum ion can go in and fit in. And because of this electronegativity, so this aluminum ion can stay longer, can get captured into this crystal structure. And the lithium, sodium, and the manganese, because their size is bigger, so they are not able to intercalate into the crystal structure. We can see that from the charge storage, whereby the specific capacitance for the aluminum chloride, which is the very high as compared to the rest of the cation. And we try to the crystal, the XRD, we able to find the crystal, the D spacing. How does the charging and discharging process in the material for this tungsten oxide? Once the aluminum ion intercalate into the structure, we found that there's the contraction of this D spacing. It will get reduced. It will get reduced to 3.73. So, but when it gets discharged, right, so the D spacing will kind of get expanded. That has been proven by our XRD. So we use the XC2 XRD, whereby we come up with the mechanism for the charge storage for this tungsten oxide. When the aluminum ion go in, there's a contraction of this crystal structure, but the aluminum comes out, so there's expansion. So we can prove that the aluminum ion can go into the crystal structure for this tungsten oxide. We are still not very happy with the results, because then I give a challenge to my group. So that's not high enough. If you still remember the cobalt, it can go up to even higher, go up above 1,000. So I challenge them, are you able to find a material, modify it so that it can go higher? So my group people, they try to put in another material whereby it's a graphene. We put in the graphene oxide, and during the hydrothermal reduction, we are able to produce a reduced graphene oxide. The reason why we use the reduced graphene oxide, because of the high conductivity for this reduced graphene oxide. We want to see that for this conductivity, are they able to make this aluminum ion to move faster? We want this aluminum ion to move faster within the structure of this tungsten oxide. So that's the morphology, and then we found that. So there's nothing much change in the crystal spacing for while we put in the reduced graphene of the graphene into the structure. We make a composite of the tungsten oxide and the reduced graphene oxide. And then we compare in terms of the specific capacitance. You can see that specific capacitance for the tungsten oxide, whereby that is a different ratio. The different ratio for this tungsten oxide, we use a code name W4G1. So the highest capacitance we can find is roughly about close to 600 farad per gram. So for the combination of the tungsten oxide, the reduced graphene oxide. So it proved that. So in this case, we put in the graphene, it can increase the charge storage for the material. And then we found that the tungsten oxide, they possess a similar contraction and the expansion behavior when we put in the aluminum and then we remove the aluminum during the charging and the discharging process. But right now we want to prove our hypothesis, because at the beginning we say that we want to use the graphene because we want to increase the diffusion of this aluminum ion. So we run the test and prove and want to see that to study what is the diffusion coefficient of this aluminum ion within the structure. And we are able to come up with the calculation whereby without the graphene, tungsten oxide, the aluminum ion diffusion in the tungsten oxide is roughly about 4.89 times 10 to the power 12 cm squared per second. But after we put in the graphene, we can see that because of due to the higher conductivity, the diffusion is increased roughly to about 17 to 18 times higher. So it proved our hypothesis that okay, we put in the graphene, so right now we can improve the diffusion of this aluminum ion. So that's why we can have the very fast aluminum ion diffusion within the structure. So with this very fast aluminum ion diffusion, that's why we can have the very high charge storage, because more ion can be stored inside, can be reduced and oxidized within the structure for this tungsten oxide. And then for this diagram, actually it tells us that what is the ratio that should be used. We use the ratio of 4 tungsten and then 1 part of the graphene. It can have a very high diffusive behavior. Then it's not the end of our journey, because we want to put it. So that's why we found the material. This tungsten oxide is good. So we put the cathode and the anode material. We put into the something like a device. So we want to see is this device is workable. So for this anode and cathode, we are using one part which is the tungsten oxide, and then the other part we use the reduced graphene oxide. So the benefit of using the asymmetric supercapacitor is because they have very wide operational potential window, whereby it can extend up to 1.5 volt. It has a larger energy density. The larger your voltage, will be larger energy density. So at the same time, you harvest the benefit from both electrodes. And we run through the cycle test, whereby this you can look at here. That is our prototype, whereby we put in the graphene and our tungsten oxide, and then once we charge it up, so we are able to power up the LED light. So means that there is an energy storage being happen in your supercapacitor, and then we calculate the amount of energy that we install. We found that it's a 28.5 watt-hour per kg. So if we compare to the rest of the hybrid material which they are using the tungsten oxide, so for this material, the tungsten oxide mixed with the graphene, we found that actually it possesses the highest energy density that being stored so far. And it also has a very high stability, whereby this device can be charged and discharged for up to about 12,000 cycles. So that is different from your cell phone, like lithium-ion battery. Lithium-ion battery, normally you can charge it up to 1,500 or 3,000. I think it's a limitation for the lithium-ion battery. But for this, we are able to charge it and discharge it up to 12,000 cycles.
Excuse me, Dr. Kuan, may I request you to complete this session very soon?
Yes.
Because we are running out of time. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
I understand. Okay, so it's going to finish. Is the last 2 slides. So yeah, that's is not the end of our quest for high energy supercapacitor. So that is the envisage what so far that we have so far achieved, whereby we use a graphene material, and then on top of this graphene material, we put in this tungsten oxide, whereby we can have the very fast ionic diffusion for this aluminum ion. So we still continue for this quest, whereby we want to keep on increase the energy density for this device. So these are the, I will list that these are the quest warriors in my research group. So all the research is not done by myself. It's actually the cooperation from my collaborator and also from my group of my students. And if you can look at those in the picture, has been all those results actually has been achieved by all of them. We have the postdoc, Dr. Goma, master student Yasin, Dr. Abdullah, Dr. Tauji, Dr. Huda, my master student Wansin, my PhD student SP, and this is of course me myself, my graduate Dr. Ali, Dr. Rubai, and PhD student Geraldine, and PhD student Mr. Aslam. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation. So I have list down my website over here and an email. So if you have any question regarding my presentation, if you have more, you have something that you wish to discuss with me in terms of the research, or you wish to know more about Malaysia, so you can welcome to email me. So that's the end of my presentation. So I will pass it back to the MC. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor. And thank you very much, Chairperson also. From here now, we are going to end our the session. But before that, I think with the permission of Chairperson, can we have some queries or not? Because we have very short time period. Suniti ma'am. We can have only few questions, but if you have any question, you can raise at least two questions. May I request all the participants, if you have any question or any queries related to the presentation of Professor, you can raise your hand in the chat box, or you can unmute and ask the questions.
Okay, thank you, Nora. I was actually not allowed to unmute myself, so I was not being able to talk. Okay, thank you, Mr. Kwok-Fek. It's a very, very interesting work. It's so highly technical. But anyway, I think the world is safe in your type of work, in your type of hand. So thank you very much. If the floor has any problem, I don't think we have time, but at least I have one query, Dr. Feng. So this type of work that you have done is really very good for this world. What about the scope of these things in developing countries? And what about the wastage discharge of this type of technologies? Very, very simple question for untechnical person like me. Can you please address these things?
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't hear clearly. Maybe there's the glitch in terms of the, yeah. Can you repeat it, Professor Suniti?
Yes. My query was, the work actually, it's really very interesting, and you have explained it with very good example of water, and the market is increasing, you have forecasted. Now, what about the scope of this supercapacitor in developing countries? One thing, and in this technique, do you have wastage discharge? Because we are talking about a lot of all those carbons and all those aluminums. Do you have wastage discharge? Then how do you save that environment with those wastages? This is a very simple question.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Professor Suniti. So yeah. Okay. The suitability for this device in the developing country. If you can see that, so that's why all my research, I try to find the resources that is from the nature or from the waste material. That's why from the beginning, I try to look at those material from the spent battery. So I think that is very suitable, because my research, I do not want to really develop whereby technology only can be used by the developed country, whereby it can benefit for those the developing or the poor the relatively poor countries as well. So if we can use the material whereby we recycle it, we call it recycle technologies, I think at the same time, not only can benefit, you can save in terms of the cost, and then at the same time, we can tackle the problem that is possessed by all this, the waste disposal. Because right now, once we finish using our battery, what we are going to do is most of the people, they tend to just throw it away. But instead of throwing it away, we find a way whereby we can add the value added, we recycle it so they can regenerate back into the very useful product. This can save the, I think it's very useful for the environmental preservation, whereby we are not going to harm the environment. And then for the process, actually for this, the device is not going to have any waste discharge. So as you can see that for one device that we devise like this, we can use up to more than 10,000 cycle. If we compare to the lithium ion battery, some other energy storage device, whereby I can use at most, you stretch it out about 2,000 cycles, whereby for this we can use for more than 10,000. So by doing this, actually, you can also solve the problem of the disposal, because right now, battery, especially in the developing country, so I don't think there is a recycle technology, recycle industry is moving on to recycle those batteries. But if we are able to introduce this technique, I believe that so it is going to benefit to everyone.
Oh, thank you.
Answer your question.
Thank you very much. And well, I welcome you in Nepal. I think you are very eager to come to Nepal. So someday we will be able to meet you in Nepal. Okay, welcome to here. Now,
Thank you.
I think if you have any question, maybe we can write in email or something, because I think we are running out of time. Noora madam, is it right? So I announced this keynote session to be closed, and now over to Noora madam.
Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you.
And thank you, Professor. Now, actually, we are at the end of the plenary session, but we are very pleased and happy to announce that Dr. Montri has joined us. And I would like to welcome Dr. Montri. And also, I would like to invite for the invite to say a few words related to the university. Dr. Montri, please.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello, everybody. Okay, right? If you can listen to me, I will talk.
Yeah, sure,
I share my video. Miss.
Yes, will I answer?
Our university and our faculty is going to develop the wind energy. That is on the vertical wind turbine. Actually, have a lot of the type of the wind turbine, but you ever seen the big size of the wind turbine, and then we are going to the research in the different on the market. So vertical wind turbine the best choice to research. This is I will represent to the TV program at the Thailand, and we are research in the blade wind turbine, and another one is a generator. If you see the generator is a deep type for generate electricity based on the low speed. What is the low speed? Low speed should be cut in. Cut in means the turbines can turn at the 2 meter per second. These are our laboratory, and they have a master degree and PhD in the laboratory. Actually, it's they are combined between the management, energy, and the engineer together. So they have testing station. In your left side at wind tunnels. So wind tunnel is can generate the wind speed around 1 to 10 meter per second, and then we can measure the torque and speed, and factor, CP factor, and static moments. And your side, they have like an oscilloscope, and we can measure the power how you can receive from the wind turbine. Southern of Thailand, they have a potential about the wind speed at the Gulf of the Thailand Sea. And that now, right now, it's installed. This one is a lot of the near of the shore at the Thailand, and another side saw the Indian Sea Ocean also. The Thailand government is installed the wind turbine. A lot of the research is different because this is a very high cost, charge around more than 10 million baht to install this one, and over than the megawatt electricity. So I have this one. This is like a wind tree. This means the vertical combine more than 34 the vertical wind turbine. If it have a size, you see this one, this is Savonius. And another one is Darius. Darius is like a plane by each other. They have an airflow inside. You can see this one. And the over this one is a generator. This generator is called PMHG, permanent magnet synchronous generator. So use the permanent magnet for generate the flux magnetics. Then if the wind, the advantage of the wind turbine, another one is no, this can receive the winds all the direction. So the accessory is really lower than the normal wind turbine. Easy to install. If you see this one, it should around to the wind speed around 2 meters per second, and then the turbine can be operated. So this is easy for receive the from the wind speed and then convert to electricity. My advantage another one because when I design, we are our team from the side. We want to low for the repair because if the very big the wind turbine, we need to spend too much money for repair because you need to climb inside, and then there were more than 5 people to repair the wind turbine. So and design you can, it's like a elevator, can move in and move down. Big something is broken or repair something. Is when the wind turbine broken or something you need to repair, you need a crane. Crane is to move some the accessory to change or repair. So it's my by need to use this. So will be save the money and easy to repair too. Real operation at the Ratchaprapra Dam in Thailand at the southern Thailand also. So now it can generate electricity. And another one advantage, this one.
Dr. Montri, sorry for interruption of your presentation. Could you please complete this presentation within a minute because we are running out of time. Thank you, sir.
Okay. And this one is all the power or the electricity is sent to the mobile phone, and you can receive everything wind speed, generator, and power also. Like this one. You can save and you can show it in and you can collect data for the wind turbine and this one also. We are going to develop the super capacitor and energy storage too, like Professor Jong talked before. Thank you. Do you have any question?
Thank you very much, Dr. Montri. Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. I didn't see any hand raised, and again, we are running out of time. So I would like to end the plenary session over here. So thank you very much for all the participants. Now I'd like to announce one thing. We're going to start our technical session. There are 3 technical sessions will go parallelly. The first one is Koshi Hall, where our technical session chair is Dr. Binod Bania, Gandaki Hall, Dr. Anjay Mishra, and Karnali Hall, Dr. Naresh Rimal. I have just now put in the message also all the link of 3 different halls. All the participants, I would like to request to click the link according to your choice. If you have any problem, you can see on the bottom of the screen, there is a breakdown room, and there are 3 choices also. So whichever room you want, you can go. There are 3 options: assign automatically, assign manually, let the participant choose room. So you can choose your one room, Kosi, Gandaki, and the Karnali room according to your choice. You can easily join to the next technical session. Now, thank you very much, all of you, all the participants, distinguished guests. And with the permission of the chairperson, I'd like to conclude the plenary session.
Opening session.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, all the participants, please join to the respective rooms. Thank you very much. All of you have a wonderful time.
Best of luck, everybody.